New World Season 2 is much bigger than we expected, and there's quite a lot to talk about, so let's jump into the PTR and let's talk about it. So the first thing to notice when you actually do jump into the game is that there is actually a completely different UI. The colour scheme is different, and when you actually start opening boxes, which I'm hoping this doesn't actually put me overweight, you'll see there's actually like a relatively cool animation. So if I click this, you get this box coming up and it shows you all of this loot and stuff like that. Really cool. Some people like it, some people aren't really liking it. For me, it looks a little bit sort of like dated, but I actually prefer it. I think I quite like it. And that does extend, of course, to all of your abilities here and, you know, all of your sections here as well. They're all in this sort of like blue coloured. Sort of reminds me of like Alpha. I don't know if it was ever this colour in Alpha, but that is what it reminds me of. Now, in this season, we are supposed to be able to trial the Hatchery seasonal trial, but nobody as of yet has actually been able to do it. It might be that you have to do the actual seasonal quest, and we've not done that yet. Now, one thing that they mentioned but we weren't quite sure was the implication is that the faction vendor is changing and it is going to impact trophies. So basically, if you have all of the master trophies, like the final trophies, you will be able to combine them into one. Now that applies for a couple of different sections, so gathering, combat and crafting. So if I jump into the faction vendor here, I'll actually show it you properly. If you scroll all the way down, you will find some new rewards. Now there are some new skins, so basically it looks like you get your faction skins. They're quite expensive. For example, they require nearly 50,000 faction tokens and 5,000 gold. But these are literally just skins. Then there are these component ultimate combat trophies. So basically, if you have all the major trophies, all of the combat ones, you'd be able to combine them into one trophy. Therefore, you won't need to keep like cycling them out. I'm not sure that this is the greatest suggestion because you then need to literally have all the trophies to combine them. Well, at least all of the combat trophies. I sort of prefer they would have just removed the limit, but it temporarily will work for the really dedicated players. I actually still think trophies in themselves are pretty stupid. Then one thing that's interesting is that there are all these mastery boxes, which are possibly going to change how you level up your gathering and stuff like that, because that is massive and you can use the XP boost. It's worth noting that they have updated the old gear, so all the like 520 gear, it's now a higher gear score. However, it is now gear score 580, which sort of puts it exactly in the same place as it was, in that it's pretty pointless. Yes, it's a little bit stronger for people who have just hit like 600 at level 60, sorry, but it's not really that exciting. If it was 590 and you could actually upgrade it to 600 and 625, then it would be a lot more useful. I find this to be a little bit pointless. Now, while we're talking about gear, if you go to any crafting station, you will find there are now these things called artisan patterns, basically. Well, they're not really patterns, but these are artisan satchels, artisan's rings. For some reason, I'm getting a bug where if I actually click one, I'm getting 3 of them. Ignore that. That doesn't happen. I'm presuming that's a weird ass bug. I'm not really going to worry about it too much. But basically, it allows you to craft a ring. Now, this ring, it crafts at 600. They craft at 600. You need to have some good mats, right? You actually need several of the previous things. So it's sort of like a higher tiered item. However, I'm not actually getting it legendary. So when I crafted one before, and then I upgraded it to 625, it stayed purple. I don't know if that's a bug or intentional. Either way, it sort of makes them vaguely interesting, but not that good. So it's a little bit pointless if you can't get them legendary, I think. Now, it also looks like with every gathering profession, along with the faction vendor changes, if you look at the stations themselves, the refining stations, you will now see that each one has a new thing here. This one's pollen, ore is obviously the one for mining. And what you'll actually notice that this levels up your harvesting, not your weaving. So this actually levels up your gathering profession. So leveling up gathering professions now will be a lot easier. I'm guessing this just comes as you get it randomly, as it says it's sometimes found. It is bind on pickup, so you actually need to do the farming to actually get it yourself. But yeah, like you can now level up your harvesting a little bit quicker. It's sort of like an extra way of doing that, I think. Pretty interesting. One quick little thing is that they have added this search. It is a little bit complicated to explain, but basically if you click this here, it gives you a little bit of an advantage. So you can sort of say, if I wanted to find something that's gear score 600, I can search 600 and it should in theory give me the stuff that is 600. Don't know why it's actually showing me this one at 625. Not really sure what's happening there. You can also do perks though. So let's say I wanted to have a look at keen speed. So you have to put these brackets here. If I search keen and I do it with that bracket, it will actually show it me. I'm presuming this ring also has keen. Well, it has keen awareness, that's fine. You can do part of the words as well. So if you know it, you can sort of search for it a little bit, but you have to do the brackets. That also works in your storage shed. There is a bug on the PTR. If you go on there and you look at the mobs, none of the mobs have any levels. It's been confirmed by one of the devs in the dev chat, well, basically just in the normal chat, that that's a bug. But the next thing I want to take you having a look at is the gypsum kiln, because there's something very interesting here, and that is that there is this new legendary type of gypsum cast. Now this looks to be pure gambling. You basically take 5 gypsum orbs and 1,000 umbrals, and by the way, you can only craft 1 per day, it looks like, and you craft, but you get a guaranteed legendary. So with your normal gypsum casts, you obviously get a chance, I think, between 595 and 600 or whatever it is. Whereas with these, you guarantee a legendary. So if I just, for example, let's pick a chest guard here, a chest piece of gear, and I'll just craft it very quickly. When I open this up, you'll see that we do get the nice little cool animation and we get a legendary. Obviously, that's what we expected. And it may be good, it might not be. But what's interesting is that you can basically gamble with just having gypsum orbs and umbral shards. Effectively a little bit like crafting, I guess. Gamble gypsum. Quick little one here is that you can now toggle the gear sets, and you can literally just set a key to be picking your new gear set. I'm a bit worried that that could be abused in some situations, like even in Outpost Rush, you could literally change to light armor to get to the middle quicker and then change back to heavy. But okay, whatever, they've done it. Speaking of Outpost Rush, I haven't personally done it yet. Obviously, we know that there are some changes to Outpost Rush. One thing that I will say, there is a bit of a rumour, as in it was data mined, it's not really a rumour, that there's going to be something called like OPR and War replica patterns. Not 100% sure what that is right now, but we'll try and find out. You can see that eventually this is going to be cross-world, and they're going to have some kind of symbol that will indicate that they are from another world. Outpost Rush is now server-wide, or region-wide, I guess, cross-server, and the rewards are going to reflect that. Feels like it's going to be a lot harder to get in the top 25 and the top 100, but okay, fair enough. One thing that's a little bit hard to demonstrate, that they have apparently buffed the salvage rates, so when you salvage, you are now more likely to get like good fragments, basically, you know, like a perfect salvage. That's been data mined though, obviously I can't really prove it right now. I'm going to try and salvage one extra thing, but I think it's a legendary, so you would get it. You would get something anyway. I don't really want to salvage the rest of them because I think I might only have one, but they've buffed that. At the summer medley further doesn't appear to be that much different from last year. There's a couple of new emotes, I think, and as far as I can tell, there's no different to the patterns. However, the patterns are quite good because remember, they are the elemental aversion patterns, so I suspect a lot of people are going to want to pick these up. However, we'll be at season 2 and the question is, will it even be worth it? I don't know. Instinctively, it doesn't appear to be massively different though. There's a couple of other little things that have been data mined. For example, corruption resistance doesn't seem like it's going to impact acid pools anymore, so you're going to actually, you know, need to not just use that for your acid chest runs. Boosts are now called augments, and what's weird about this is that there are now some like emotes that literally give you a time juice. So you get these and you can use them for 2 hours. I don't quite get this, I don't quite understand it, but okay, it's there. Apparently people have found the raid. They're saying it's in Brimstone Sands and it's north of this shrine. I don't 100% know, I'm probably going to try and check that out straight after I finish this video. There was something else that was data mined. It looks like you might be able to buy a transmog token from the PvP reward track for 25,000 as assault. Don't quote me on that. When it comes to the raids, obviously the big worm's not in, but also the hatchery, there appears to be something called flawlessly. Now I'm guessing this means without deaths or maybe within some kind of scoring system. There's also a timed here for the hatchery, but there's also like this flawless system. Also appears to be what mutations are called. It says flawlessly, which I think means without anybody dying. You also actually get tiles. This is in the journey and the challenges. I almost forgot about First Light. Well, you can't get in First Light. It is all blocked off by this angry earth thing. So, I mean, we knew it was going to be blocked off. That was the thing. There is apparently in the storage shed, there's a tab that says old First Light. So your stuff will actually go there. It's not actually just going to like go on your person. And if I get too close to it, I will die. It's as simple as that. You get too close, and like any other zone, you start dying. If anything, I think this guy right in front of me is probably going to die. And it's not yet happened. Okay, maybe not. Maybe it's only going to die if you attack it. I thought I attacked it earlier and I died, but you know, I must have just started to sneak through. I don't actually know how I died because you can't seemingly die now. Basically, big angry earth wall, you can't get in. Obviously, one thing that has come is the new PvP arena. That looks fantastic, I have to say. Questionable balances because of the fire that comes in. It seems to be that if you're on the top, you will be injured last, and if you're on the bottom, you're going to die. So you can see the hatchery is here. It's around about here on the map, just above this shrine. I'm going to give this a go. I'm not going to spoil it or anything, so I'm just going to go in it and we'll end the video there. But yeah, this season has a lot to unpack. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of information revealed over time. But now let me jump into the hatchery and tell you my thoughts somewhere else. Big shout out to everybody who helps me on Twitch and stuff like that. Have a most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.